someone could already be watching. If you think you can handle the darkest stories the world has ever known, hit subscribe, because this one will keep you awake long after it's over. The rain came down in hard, cold sheets over rural Oregon that night. A soundless gray curtain swallowing the narrow two-lane road leading into the forest. It was 2:37 a.m. when the Oregon State Police received the call. A car abandoned at the edge of Pine Hollow Bridge. Engine running, driver nowhere in sight. When troopers arrived, the scene looked almost staged. The driver's door was open, headlights still cutting through the fog. On the ground lay a single shoe, a folded map marked with red circles, and a small silver necklace, engraved with the initials RM. The missing driver was Rachel Monroe, a 27-year-old journalist known for her obsession with cold cases. She'd been writing an expose on the unsolved disappearances that had haunted 3 states for nearly a decade. Locals called the unknown predator the Whisperer because no one ever heard him coming. Rachel's car was the closest anyone had gotten to him. Until then, for years, the FBI had quietly built a file that read like something out of a nightmare. 15 confirmed victims, all found in remote wooded areas near small towns across Oregon, Washington, and Northern California. The patterns were erratic. No clear age range, no consistent method, except one detail. At every scene, investigators found a small piece of polished stone, carved into the shape of an eye. At first, agents thought it was symbolic, maybe ritualistic, but when forensic analysts examined the carvings under magnification, they found microscopic etchings on each one, initials. Every single one matched the victim's name. Whoever the killer was, he didn't just mark his victims, he memorized them. When Rachel Monroe vanished, the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit sent one of its best, Agent Thomas Vale, a profiler known for his eerie ability to predict a killer's next move. Vale was quiet, calculating, and haunted by his own past. 5 years earlier, his partner had been killed by another serial offender during an undercover sting gone wrong. This time, Vale was determined not to lose anyone else. He drove into Pine Hollow the next morning, the mist still clinging to the trees. The local sheriff briefed him outside a diner, steam from their coffee drifting into the cold air. She was looking into the Whisperer case, the sheriff said. Stayed at the Pine Motel, room 6. Checked out yesterday morning. Never made it out of town. Inside Rachel's motel room, everything looked untouched. Laptop open, a notebook filled with scribbles and half-formed questions. But one detail stood out. On the mirror, written in faint blue marker, were 4 words. You finally found me. As Vale studied her notes, a name kept recurring, Elijah Hart. A former forensic sculptor turned recluse, Hart had worked with law enforcement on several homicide reconstructions before vanishing in 2015. He was known for creating eerily lifelike busts of unidentified victims, faces that felt too real, too knowing. Rachel's last recorded interview, left in a voice memo on her phone, captured her excitement. Hart isn't just an artist, she said breathlessly. He's obsessed with memory, says he can feel the people he sculpts. I think he knows more than he's admitting. The timestamp? Less than 24 hours before she disappeared. Vale tracked Hart's last known address, a rundown farmhouse deep in the Cascade Range. He arrived as the storm picked up again, rain slashing sideways across his windshield. The house looked like it had been swallowed by the forest. Paint stripped, windows fogged, vines curling across the porch. The front door was unlocked. Inside, the air was thick with dust and decay. Sculptures lined every wall. Hundreds of plaster faces, each eerily detailed, each frozen mid-expression. Men, women, children, their eyes closed as if dreaming. And in the center of the room, under a single hanging bulb, stood a new piece. Unfinished. Rachel Monroe. Her likeness was perfect, every strand of hair, every curve of her expression, except her eyes were missing. Vale's stomach dropped. He backed away, scanning the floor. That's when he saw it. The same carved stone lying near the base of the sculpture. A noise echoed behind him, soft, deliberate footsteps. Agent Vale, a calm voice said from the shadows. You're late. Elijah Hart stepped into the light. Tall, gaunt, his hands flecked with plaster. His face was expressionless, but his eyes were alive, sharp, studying. "You've been looking for me," Vale said. Hart smiled faintly. "Everyone's been looking for me, but you actually see." Vale's hand hovered near his holster. "Where is she?" "She's here," Hart said simply. "She's everywhere now. Isn't that what you people want? To understand the pattern." Hart gestured toward the sculptures around the room. "They all wanted to be remembered, so I gave them that. Immortality. By killing them," Vale demanded. Hart tilted his head. "By preserving them. The body ends, but the memory, that's eternal." He stepped closer, his tone almost academic. "You think I hunt strangers? No, they come to me. They seek me." Rachel was the same. She wanted to know what it felt like, to be seen completely, to be understood. "Where is she?" Vale repeated, voice low and cold. Hart's smile widened. "You're standing in her memory." The sound of sirens cut through the storm outside. Vale's backup was closing in. Hart turned toward the window, rain streaking down the glass like tears. "You can't stop this," he said quietly. "The world forgets too easily. I only take those who beg not to be erased." Vale drew his gun. "Elijah Hart, you're under arrest." Hart didn't move. He looked at the unfinished sculpture, Rachel's face, then back at Vale. "Tell me, Agent," he murmured, "when you close your eyes at night, whose face do you see?" Before Vale could respond, Hart reached for something behind the sculpture, not a weapon, but a lighter. He flicked it once, twice. Flames leapt instantly to the draped canvases around the room. The plaster faces began to crack as the heat intensified. Vale lunged forward, tackling Hart to the ground. The two struggled as the fire roared around them. Outside, agents stormed the property. When they finally pulled Vale from the wreckage, he was half-conscious, coughing, covered in ash. Hart was gone. Only one thing remained amid the smoke: a small, blackened sculpture lying intact on the floor. Rachel Monroe's face, eyes complete. Days later, forensic teams scoured the ruins. No trace of Elijah Hart's body was ever found. DNA from multiple victims matched residues in the basement, confirming what investigators already feared. Hart had been the whisperer all along. But something didn't fit. Inside Vale's car, sealed in an evidence bag, was a final discovery: Rachel's camera, recovered from the property. On the SD card, a single video file titled HartInterview.mp4. The footage showed Rachel in the farmhouse, nervously setting up her tripod. Hart entered the frame, calm, polite, almost charming. "You said you wanted the truth," he said to her. Rachel nodded. "I want to understand why." Hart leaned forward, expression serene. "Because I remember what everyone else forgets. Pain, faces, fear. The exact moment when someone realizes the world won't save them." He paused. "Would you like to remember too?" The video cut to static. Months passed. The official report labeled Hart as presumed dead. The case was closed, the media frenzy fading. But Vale couldn't let it go. One evening, he sat alone in his office, reviewing case files. Outside, the city lights glowed faintly blue through the rain. He reached into his desk drawer and pulled out the sculpture recovered from the fire, Rachel's face. Except this time, something was different. The eyes, which had been blank before, were now faintly colored, as if someone had painted them. Blue-gray, lifelike, haunting. He stared at it for a long time, feeling the same chill crawl up his spine as when he first stepped into Hart's house. His phone buzzed. An unknown number. A message appeared. "You finally found me." Vale froze. He looked back at the sculpture and realized its lips had changed. They were smiling. They thought Elijah Hart was gone. But art, real art, outlives the artist. And somewhere in America tonight, someone else has already disappeared, leaving behind a single carved stone shaped like an eye. If you thought this story was disturbing, you're not ready for what's next. Hit subscribe, because the next case might make you question what's real and what's just waiting to be remembered.